George. Hey, Susan. Hey, what's going on? It is right at 5 o'clock. We have FOMC minutes coming out tomorrow. We've got, when does this pullback end? I mean, number 2, when does the pullback end? And then number 3, 30 minutes of your requests as always. So we'll go through, talk about a few things. I'll give you a little update on the markets, and then I'll take your requests. So please hold your requests until I get to that point. But if you want to request while I'm live, make sure you're a subscriber right down here. This little square right there. Hit that button. Be a subscriber. Once you do that, you can chat on the live stream while I'm live. If I am no longer live when you're watching this later, if you're watching this later, then leave me a comment. I will do the best I can to get back to you. All right? And you know what? If you want to talk to me outside of this and make other requests, I will do my best to get you covered. And the way you do that is become a client of mine. And the link for Discord in the description below. It's like $5 for 3 months. I give you a watch list and an indicator and teach you how to use it. And I mean, I think it's a great deal. $5, come on. But you know, I do have other things available for more substantial amounts of money, more intensive, more with trade alerts and stuff like that. But yeah, you don't have to buy anything. You can just keep watching on YouTube. Come back day after day. Hey, Kimberly. Hey, David. Hey, Ed. Hey, Jason. Good afternoon. Good evening, everybody. Got my little Johnny 5 here, a little robot. He can help us pick out some awesome charts, hopefully. Anyway, let's go ahead, jump into all trading involves a substantial risk of loss. Past performance, not necessarily indicative of future results. This presentation here intended to be informational, educational, and fun. Hope you have fun. It is not a recommendation to buy or sell anything, financial instrument or otherwise. If you desire that personal financial advice, hire and consult a financial advisor. Anyway, John, that's not the place to talk about trades. That's what Discord's for. This is just open for all in the public. So, all right. Yeah, I got him finished. Little Johnny 5. It's all put together, although I just knocked his laser off. That's awesome. To put his laser back on. Anyway. Not even, there we go. Right back there. Got his laser. So, a little Johnny 5 off a short circuit. All right. Glad to have everybody. So this is the plan for the day. We're going to talk about the fact that the FOMC minutes coming out tomorrow. What can that do? What should you be prepared for? When does the pullback end? Oh my gosh. Maybe I don't have the news you're expecting. So we'll talk about that here in just a minute. And then, of course, 30 minutes of your request after I go through the general market stuff. So let's jump into it. And here's the S&P, kicking it off. 2 weeks ago, roughly, or 2 Sundays back, I should say, I put out this proposed pathway forward. Looks like we're right into the zone right here. Support this. We came up like 8 points shy of that 44.24 area I was looking for. We can bounce for the next few days, but we could also push a little lower. We could get down into this low right here. So this is actually like a zone. We could push right on down just a little bit lower, right down in there before we find the support. Today, closing at the lows. Friday, I said all over the place. I said, you know what? Even yesterday during the morning show, I do a morning show every day if you didn't know. I said we were highly likely, 90% likely to make a lower low either yesterday or today. Today, lower low, boom. The market doesn't typically close Friday. Then in the week, you know, in Fridays on the lowest low. The market just doesn't typically make lowest lows on Fridays. And that's like looking back the last couple of weeks, this last Friday was going to be the lowest low. And that's not typically the way the market rolls. So we got a low bounce yesterday and a lower low today. Now, was that the bottom? Maybe. Could we push down just a little bit lower? Maybe. Could we get the bounce? Yeah. Now, look at the bounce right here. We may do a 618 retrace. And that may take us back up into this 45.30, 45.50 area potentially, depending on where we bottom here. So about 100 points back up, roughly. We could see that bounce. Could take a could take us into the last week of August potentially, and then we could see another down. This next down could take us on out late September or even October. So be prepared. This correction might last a little longer than anybody's betting on. A lot of people may be like, "All right, correction's over. We're going higher," and then crush. So be prepared. All right, be prepared. The rally may not continue for a little while. Could frustrate everybody well into the fall. Now, one of the things that I've talked about on and off for a number of, gosh, for as long as I've been doing videos practically. Let's pull up this chart right over here and talk about that really quickly. Pop this up right here. S&P volatility and the index. Typically in August, we get this pullback and just, ugh. And then we'll spike into the end of August, potentially rally in September, and then another pullback. That kind of fits with what we might see. So we could get a little reprieve, maybe fart around, could get a little more pop into September, and then another pullback. So we could make a higher high. If we break through this 45, 25, 45, 30, 40, depending on where we actually bottom. If this was the bottom today, turn the magnet off so it'll quit jumping around. We break it back above that 45, 40 area. Hey, we could go on extension. We could get 45 or 46, 30, 46, 80 even. Those are all possible. So it really depends on the way this next rally shapes up. The next couple of days, weeks. How do we rally here? And do we stop right up in there? So this is kind of important and kind of key. So we'll see what happens. All right. Jumping over to the red list. Not the morning list, but the red list. Scroll down and let's hit ES. ES is the futures, ending on kind of a sour note here today. That retrace right there, we got down right darn close to a 1272 extension of that retrace that popped yesterday. So that was from Friday's low right up here to yesterday's high at the close, and then crushed it down, coming up just a little shy. So we may see a little continuation overnight, potentially even bouncing, and then going higher. The market will be back open right near the end of this, about 53 more minutes. Then the futures market will be back open. NQ, not making a lower low today. This is interesting. Now, NQ doesn't follow the pattern. S&P is the one that follows the pattern with the lowest low on the Friday and making, we don't typically bottom. So NQ, not the same pattern at all. I don't have statistics from NQ. I just have statistics on S&P 500, and that was ES. So NQ, big tech, still looking a little bearish, but this could actually be a bounce setup right here. It was pretty deep for a retrace, but we're still holding a higher low. And right in the 76, this thing can bounce and go off like a rocket. Now, before I go in taking requests and stuff, I was speculating last week that we may see Apple dip down into this zone right here before the market can reverse. We're still $2 shy of hitting that, so we may see a little flush out. You see just a little flush out on Apple. One more flush down into this support zone. It was resistance on the way up. We consolidated right over here, and now it's support since it's below us. We may dip into there, test it. If we test it, we could pop out, and the market can rally again. All right. Microsoft, also same situation. May need a little dip from that 320 area right down here. And that was a little deeper, maybe $10 to $15 dip right down into this zone. Find support, and we can launch off. Now, Russell looking a little more bearish. That's looking pretty bearish, looking like it's gunning for this daily roadmap line. This IWM, if you're unfamiliar, would be the ETF for this. ES was SPY, NQ, QQQ, and RTY is IWM. Those are the popular ETFs for trading these. Looking like we may be on our way down just a little bit more. And you want to See what it looks like on the ETF. That'd be right there around 184, possibly as deep as 180 down here. So we could see that push on down back to these lows from right over here. 184 probably highly likely at this point. And I mentioned that, gosh, for a couple weeks when we came up and tested this trend line here, that if we turned down off of that, we were probably coming all the way back down into this zone right here. And that's right where we are finding ourselves headed. So there you go. And CL turning down sharply off of that target at 84.50. Yeah, that's what I expected. I expected to come right back down to this zone, probably find support and turn up and head toward this $94 area right up here. Once we break above 84.50, probably going to add $10 to oil pretty quickly. All right, gasoline turning down. Probably it potentially could retrace, but this is actually a little more bullish, and we could actually see this break out before oil does. The extensions right up here around $3.50 a gallon for gasoline in the United States. Natural gas still looking pretty bearish, turning down off of the roadmap line at the top of the range. I would expect this to turn right back down to the bottom of the range. Still sitting inside the range we set back in February to March of this year. Was unable to break out and doesn't look overly bullish. GC holding the roadmap line, and if we can turn back higher, get back above 1960, really 1975, and go test 2010, break above that, we're probably on the way to 2100. If we turn down again, or if we break below the lows we did back here in June, we're probably going to extend down to at least 1830 on gold. Silver, double bottom at this point, potential, rejecting pretty hard the last 2 days. If that turns back up above the roadmap line around 2350, it may be game on right there. I do like the fact it keeps holding right in this zone, not really making a lower low than what we saw right back here. If we do get a close below there, we may extend on down to 1825. That is a big extension lower. So always keep in mind, it's not being wrong that costs you the money. It's staying wrong that costs you the money. All right. Next up, HG, copper, showing some weakness. I've been looking for this to drop on out. We may see copper drop on out. Lots of people were debating with me. They're like, no, that's a bullish pattern. And I'm like, no, that's probably a bearish pattern. So we'll see who's right ultimately. But it looks like we may see further decline in copper. All righty. Touch on some crypto, and then we'll get started on requests in just a minute. Now, remember, rules for requests before I just say go. One ticker at a time, please, per person. Give somebody else a chance to go before you throw another ticker in there. All right, we had to change the rules a little bit. This has gotten a little more popular, so please give other people a chance to go before you just load up on a bunch of tickers. All right, everybody cool with that? So, Bitcoin right there might come down to the roadmap line. We're just consolidating. We've been consolidating for a good long bit. You know, typically we get a good long consolidation, then we get a dip and then a rip. So that's you know, this consolidation was a little more volatile, and we just did a rip and then a dip. So, you know, typically we get that consolidation, a dip, and then a rip, and then another consolidation, a dip, and a rip. It would not surprise me to get a dip down into this $27,000 area, and then a rip. So, all right. Ethereum is a bit more bearish because it made a lower high here, and the pattern would indicate we're probably going to go down into this zone somewhere. I mean, let's be realistic, probably somewhere around 1450 to 1600 would clear this pattern up and get us cleared up and ready to go on, make higher highs again. Otherwise, Ethereum may just fart around sideways for a while. Alrighty, pick up a few requests I saw early. SQQQ. There's nothing really happening on SQQQ. There's no chart pattern here. It is a leveraged instrument. Be careful on leverage. Leverage things don't always follow patterns, but that one did hit the target to the downside. Had a giant head and shoulders pattern. It played out pretty beautifully right to support, and then we started bouncing. So the head and the shoulder were kind of the same. It was more like a shoulder head, a pattern instead of head and shoulders pattern. But it played out right to the target, right? I mean, dang close. Look at the bottom of that. These just came from right there. Head to the neckline, right down there. Boom. Now, does it need to retrace to here? No, it can just keep extending lower. This is a decaying asset. It will eventually keep going towards zero until they delist it and reissue it. So, all right. Ford is another one. Oh, I don't even know what I just did. That was freaking amazing. Just closed my watch list is what I did. Not even sure how I did that. Oh, I made it full screen, I bet. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. Shortcut keys, gotta love them. Anyway, Ford came right back into the triangle. Not cool. Not cool. Failed to get to the target on the breakout. Not sure if it doesn't bounce here. We're probably going down. Down can take us down to 7. That's Ford for us. Not that's as I say, no bueno. Not good. And let's see, AKT crypto. AKT USD. Let's go with eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Let's go with that one. Man, pretty good breakout. Let's see. Extensions. That may retrace. That's looking pretty exponential, pretty played out. Check a couple more things. Yeah, definitely played out. Needs a retrace to get more energy to go higher again. And it doesn't, I mean, nothing ever has to do that, but it's the most logical thing. Probably down to around 99 cents, right around $1. And may lose 15 more cents. Find that support and be able to go again on another move. You may debate with me, but some people here would argue that I'm right more than I'm wrong. I would look for support right around that $1 area right there. If it can hold that, turn up, that'd be positive for 170, possibly 194. If not, we don't hold support there, probably coming on down. Support is back here at these prior highs. People are like, no way it's going that far down, but be careful. Things I say tend to come true. All right. FNGU, that's another leverage one that's been on the path. Been expecting that to dip right back down in here. It is leverage, though. Leverage stuff does not always work according to the plan, so be careful. Leverage things, there's like 5 things that don't go according to the plan. Low price stuff, leverage stuff, biotech stuff, like medical, biotech, anything that has like FDA approval. God, I can't. Just gone. China stuff doesn't always follow the patterns. So be careful. All right, please be careful. Please. I'll probably think of the other one here in a minute. Leverage stuff, small price stuff. Oh, small price stuff under $10 doesn't always follow patterns. Biotechs, China stuff. All right. That's FNGU. Not super helpful, I know, but probably going lower. That's the head and shoulders there is kind of sloppy. Didn't really fill out very beautifully. We got about halfway there before the bounce yesterday on NVIDIA. And watch out for that to push right down to that 147, 150 area down there. All right. XLU. Ouch. Probably going lower. That's bearish. Lower high. Don't chase this. If you're going long this, it's not a great decision. I mean, support probably at 62, maybe bounce back up and then push deeper to 61. It doesn't look very good. That's looking pretty bad. I'm trying to think of something nice to say, but there's nothing nice to say. That's pretty much a dumpster fire of a chart right there. So be careful on that one. All right. PAYX. There, it's got potential. This was the lowest low. Pulled up, bounce, pull up, retrace. Let's see if that's holding the magic fib line. The magic fib line I don't even have turned on. Yeah, we could go a little deeper to 121 if we hold in that 121.50 area. If we hold here, then there is the fair potential that we get a move out to 133 right up here. Fair potential. Now this could take a little longer. It could take like that. And then like this. That could go pretty quick. But I would watch out at that point. That would be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up. A 618 retrace of that whole move would be in order at that point. That would look something like this right here. And take us back into this zone right here. Like that. To recharge and get something more bullish going. That's what we got cooking right now on that chart. All right, GM. Yeah, looking like forward. Ouch. Yeah, head and shoulders played out perfect. Right to the 618. Now, if we can, let's talk about this. There is potential here. Potential for a bullish trade. That played out perfect. Look at that. Perfect. All right. Here's the level. If we can break back above this, 34, that's an aggressive entry right there. Super aggressive. Now, retrace that more conservatively. You're like, JT, I'm risk averse. I don't want to be in super risky stuff. Well, you probably want to wait for this to come back above the roadmap line at the minimum. And then you've got the 618 level right there, which can be resistance for a third leg. You know, this would be in the first leg, this would be in the second leg, and a third leg lower that can take us lower down to 30. Now, if you don't want to be, if you want to, skip that potential, you want to be in this longer term, you got to wait for it to move up through, say, 39. Then it's probably head up to 43, maybe 45 on the upside. But, we could just extend from here and break down and go to 30. If that's the case, then everything I just said about breaking above here, got to start over. Got to look for a reversal off of that if we extend lower from here. So that's what we got. It's kind of the potential that's cooking. Yep. Got to turn up here, otherwise at 30 area, highly likely. Alrighty. That was GM. Target, TGT coming up. They got earnings coming up, don't they? Yep. So earnings on Target coming up before the open tomorrow. So what does JT got to say about the prediction? Let's see. This looks pretty bearish. Looks really bearish. Ugh, that looks pretty bad. Let's be honest. If you bought this right now, what were you thinking? We can easily, I mean, that was perfect. 1272, retrace back to 100, extension 114. That's what I would expect right there. We did the pattern upside down, the pattern I talk about every week. If you're unfamiliar with the pattern, when we do these retraces back to this roadmap line, I give away the code for this roadmap line right on the YouTube channel. There's a video for it from back earlier in the back around December, maybe it's New Year's. Anyway, we tend to go on extension after we bounce off the roadmap line. Usually we're talking up, to the upside, but this is to the downside. Hit the 1272, retrace back to the 100. We did that right there. We came down, we bounced up, right up to the roadmap, right up to the 100, excuse me, where we broke down below right over here. And now the classic pattern would be to take us right out there to the 1618, 114. If we opened up down there tomorrow, I'll be freaking shocked, but it's the pattern. I mean, shocked but not shocked. It constantly amazes me that this thing works over and over and over, and I predict these crazy things, but crazy thing, I predict 114, but it doesn't have to do that. This could be the bottom. This little close down here looking totally sucky. We could break higher from here. The high probability path, 114. And we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Alrighty. I got crap popped up over the chat. Let's go back to DOCU. And I gotta click back on the chart. Yeah, that looks pretty bearish. Same garbage chart pattern. Looks like I don't even have all the fibs turned on. Let's clear that off and put this back on. Probably have to turn off the extra fibs that I turned on a minute ago. And looks like 31 would be the extension. We're not holding anything bearish. We get below this level right in here. We get below 46. High probability path would be down to 31.74. Then same situation. We bounce back up, retest the breakout. That's breakout to the downside, and extend, and that can take us down to 21. All right, that's DOCU. U for Unity. Glance right off the resistance, right back to the roadmap line. That has potential bullishness, but if we can't hold that, we got to hold right in here where we are, this 618. If we can hold this and turn up, break above the roadmap line, back above 39, right in there. And really, it's kind of a zone, I guess, with those prior highs at this point. Get above that, we can go test at least the top of that, and maybe something even more bullish. Could be up here. We could get a breakout and go test the $75 area. Right up in here. Having some kind of fib black magic you watch me do right there. I teach it in the fib class. But that's using the 2-point tool and the 3-point tool. This is basically what I call a measured bounce. And typically, I would do the target this way. And we target the top of the box. It just happens to be confluence right there about 59. But the stretch goal right now for a wave 3 move would be right up here around 75 to 84. And it looks pretty good. All right, AMD. Probably going back to the roadmap line. It's working its way down. Working. Been predicting it for a while. Little reprieve yesterday on NVIDIA's bounce, and looking a little weak. One more flush could get us there. One more of these nice, big, strong red candles. That sucker right there. Yep. One more of those. All we need. Be careful. That's support. Otherwise, if we don't get there, I don't have any high probability pattern cooking at the moment. I have expected NVIDIA and AMD to retrace for a while. They went a little crazy on me, and AMD doing better on the retrace than NVIDIA. So be careful, please. TSM. Yeah, right back to the roadmap line. Needs to hold here. If it starts breaking on down, we could go deeper. Like, there could be a deeper correction cooking on a lot of these charts. So far, just holding in the vicinity. We did dip a little lower last time, so a little lower this time before we can turn up. All right. You'd have to read the prospectus on SQQQ to see what they do. Likely, they'd cash you out on whatever was left. If you're in options, there's a liquidation process that I don't participate in, don't care to participate in, don't ever want to participate in. And so SQQQ would likely get delisted. They'd probably come up with a new one, a new reissue. And I mean, they'll reverse split it before they do that, before they delist it. It's like they did VXX. They've delisted it twice since I've, my recent knowledge. And they create a VXXB. And then like 6 months later, VXXB gets renamed to VXX and assumes the old ticker. And everybody forgets that VXX, VXX got delisted and VXXB now became VX. I mean, it's a whole thing. So if SQQQ gets delisted due to, declining capital under management, AUM, assets under management, or I think it's CUM, I don't know, whatever. When their capital gets below a certain point, the prospectus says they'll go into liquidation. When they go into liquidation, there's a whole process. It's all spelled out in the prospectus. Almost every ETF has a liquidation defined in the prospectus, if you didn't know. What was it? TVIX hit that threshold years ago during what they called the Volmageddon. And, it was super popular to sell volatility back before COVID times. And then VIX, all these short VIX things blew up. And TVIX was one of the casualties. And then VXX was a casualty. And there's been several along the way. So decaying assets, they're dangerous in the long run. Like UVXY, this is going to zero eventually. And just reverse split right back here. 10 for 1. Did another one back here. 10 for 1. Did another one back here. 5 for 1. Did another one back here. 4 for 1. 5 for 1. 5 for 1. See, it's decaying. And it's getting more rapid here with the 10 for 1s. It only put it up to 18. And when you look at it, it's going to zero. Now, can you just buy puts? No. They know this is decaying, and you'll buy puts and still lose money. Guarantee you. VXX, you see the same situation cooking here. And this one assumed the history from prior when they merged it, but decaying. Be careful on these decaying assets. They go to zero. All right. Maybe like, why on earth would anybody do that? And believe me, they have a plan for making money, and you're not part of it. All right. Back to SPX right here. Just turning around. Would not surprise me to get a dip right down here to 92. It's kind of, that went, what was like one fast move down. We may rally up to 107 and then get a move down one more time. Wouldn't surprise me one bit. That one's probably going to be corrective for a little while. I wouldn't put money on it right now. So far, yeah, right back. I forget who argued with me on this one, but I drew a big blue arrow, and that's exactly what it's doing right now. Support probably down here around 750. All right. There you go. Yeah, SQQQ might be a good play, but I don't know. The decaying nature gives me heartburn on that one. You know, SVXY, a little different though. This one, it's like the opposite. If we get a pullback, it tends to rally right back. So if we get a freak out in the market, this is short VIX, a short-term short VIX. And if we get a pop in VIX, this makes this one drop. It's like sudden death drop. 15 to 20% is what I'm looking for. If we get a 15 to 20% pullback on this, like clockwork, however many times this is since COVID times, it returns right back up. And you can see it used to do that before COVID too. So COVID was the exception. And anytime we get a drop, it rallies right back up. So I put this one on a radar for a big drop. If we get any kind of big drop in the market, go hunt this one. If it's done a 15 to 20% drop, go long out 2-3 months in the future. This is like after the drop is kind of like stabilized a little bit. Buy it and then hold it until we make a new high. Usually we at least rally right back up, if not make a new high, and profit. I mean, remember though, all trading carries a substantial risk of loss, and past performance not necessarily indicative of what it's going to do again in the future. But that one's a pretty reliable one. It's happened like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, like 15 times since COVID. I mean, pretty reliable pattern. Anyway. Alrighty, moving on. AI was retracing pretty deeply right back to the roadmap line. That's where I expect it to go. Right down in there. We could hold here, but right now it's like teetering on the edge. Probably going to push on down. If we get below 29.50, unfortunately, that would be a giant 3-wave up, and we could get continuation lower. It's like 1 move up, retrace, 2 moves up, we start breaking below, we could get continuation lower. Let me draw that just in case you want to see where that might be. Oh my gosh, yeah. Wicked lower. Why is my fib being weird? That's weird. Real weird. It's not drawing the fib. Should be a level like right down here around 6, probably 6 or 7. Weird. One more time. Yeah, weird. Just not drawing it. I don't know. The weird stuff with TradingView sometimes. All right. PayPal. PYPL still has the lower target. Down here, 54. Still where I expect it to go. And ultimately, 45. We got a little overexcited. Came up, hit the roadmap line, which sets up a whole new extension lower. So that really could, still at 54, bounce back up, 47, bounce back up, 45 would be beautiful. And that's the pattern. FRSH. Yeah, beautiful pop right there. It's out past the extensions. Probably 25 to 27 is the next resistance right there. And yeah, that can be the bottom. We could work on something bullish here. Don't have, until we get another retrace back to the roadmap line, I don't really have much to predict. That was a bunch of sideways overlapping crap, and then this is a little pop out. This may retrace fully right back down to 1650 after we find whatever high it is here. So please be careful on that one. KKR is choppy hot potatoes there. Whew. There's not a lot of awesome charts if you can't tell. Like, that looks gnarly. I can retrace again. Yeah, that looked like a B wave. We could top out. It could go just a little bit higher. We might rally up to 68. But this could be another I hate to say this, but we could be in for a bigger drop. KKR. Watch out. I mean, that's 50% gone. 50% gone. So watch out on that one. Yeah, the low was way down here, so let's see if this lines up. Oh, yeah. Yep, that's right in the zone. There's the support zone right there. Came up a little shy. Not bullishly breaking out. May go down. Be careful on that one. Really makes me not feel great looking at that chart. GIS probably heading down to this zone right here around 69. I drew it, and it's almost happening. It's happening, sweetheart. As that commercial says, you know. That's GIS for you. AMSC would be... Man, look at that. Rejected. Roadmap line would be where I expect. Now, it could do that in a volatile way. Everything I found on LK99 it's full of crap. But we'll see what happens. JT's not always right, but a lot of times I am. So looks like we could get a little more hype and return right back to the roadmap line. That's what it looks like right there. EMSC. And, you know, if you haven't seen one of these bubbles before, we're going to have to zoom out a little bit to take a trip out to a monthly chart. They get crazy, they come down, they get crazy again, they come down, and that's worth $2 after being worth $300. Yeah, here's another one. It was down here, popped up. This has done a split, so it messes with the prices a little bit, but let's go out to a weekly. You see a little better. We did a crazy spike, and we're dropping back off. Yeah, this before the split, this thing had crazy numbers on here. So these things tend to happen, and then come right back down. Here's another one. Crazy pop, crazy drop. All right, be careful. Yeah, AI, crazy pop in the beginning, huge drop. That could just be the next wave down. Be careful, all right? These things, like, there's a reason why, like, I'm highly skeptical on some of these things. When people talk to me, I'm like, I've seen it before. I started trading during the .com bubble. That was the peak of crazy charts like this. I've seen these patterns ever since I've been trading with real money. You know, that was the real money portion. I started right at the .com bubble / bust. I've seen these patterns over and over and over. If you could pick them up right here, it's beautiful. And then you want the ones that make the new high, not the ones that go lower low after a rally. So be careful on all of these that do crazy kind of moves. QSR, that one probably wants to retrace back to the roadmap line. Yeah, there it is on the daily. It got there. Now, if it can hold here, turn up, we're looking for a move back above this high right here at 76. Probably take us out to 80, possibly 82 on the next run for QSR. PEP. And that's might get that extension. That's a potentially bearish pattern right there, holding and turning down right there. If we get below this low, the line in the sand is right here, this low. We get below that low, probably heading right down here. All right, XLK, probably on a path. Gonna come on, meet that line right there. All right, coin. Ugh, coming down to the roadmap line. Got below support. Next layer of support. Right down there. Yep, sometimes it does the thing you don't want it to do, but kind of invalidates this for now. If we can get there, then it's a roadmap pattern. Potential. Move back up through these highs would be the aggressive, more conservatively above 99. We'd look for 124 and 138. If we break below the roadmap line, probably coming back down to here one more time. There you go. Nobody requested NVIDIA. I don't believe. I didn't see NVIDIA up there anywhere. I'll hit that in a second. And QTRX, just a few behind the chat. QTRX, a nice little pop there. Nice potential, grinding higher, grinding higher. Let's see. It's probably due for another one of these after that move. This little guy run its course. Potentially. Yeah, 1618 retrace deep. It could go again. It could. When we start making those big topping, I call them topping tails, giant wicks, whatever you want to call them. We start doing those. That's showing the end of the move. Like we did one right back here, and then we ground it up and got higher. Then deep retrace, ground, made a pop. But it starts doing this when it's running out of, when it's having trouble. It's like moving in fits, you know. It's and then likely we'll get a big retrace at some point. So be careful on that. All right, we may see a deeper retrace before we get another one of those pops. I do say be careful a lot because this is a dangerous market environment. Like, I mean, the market's always dangerous. You can always lose money. You can lose money in a bull market. But right now, everything's really kind of unpredictable as far as pattern goes. We're seeing rotation, and it's a game of take other people's money. That's what the hedge funds are doing. We saw that a lot at the top, and you know, just a couple weeks ago. And right now, I mean, we have potentially further down to go. We could come all the way down to this 43, 42, 50 area right down here on S&P. And the way the market goes, it takes like 80 to 90% of the boats with it, you know, out there in the ocean. It's the ocean of the market. NVIDIA popping today, getting a red candle. Didn't break above that trend line. I said if it stays below the trend line, watch out. It's probably going to continue. And it's getting more volatile as it goes. It's a megaphone, whatever you want to call it. So far, that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Could be 5. Could take us down there. But then it could rally back up again and go for a 6. Watch out. They do have earnings coming up out here. If we can get up out of here, it's a different story. But right now, it's still looking a little bearish. So be careful on that one. All right. Chart out of focus for you. Try clicking the gear on YouTube and bumping up your resolution. You probably have it set to auto, and it probably has it low resolution for you. All right. HLY, Holly. Low price. Remember, low price is one of those things. Low price. The resistance is right here. We gap down. That's the resistance. If we can get up that high, eventually it's going to come back to the roadmap line. Eventually, somewhere out here, it is likely to come back down here. All right, A, B, and B. Yeah, right back to the roadmap line. I mean, almost right down the arrow. Find support there, turn up. Beyond the targets. Classic retrace. If it gets below the roadmap line, something different cooking. Come back, ask me again. If we do that, I'll tell you where to the downside. ACHR, Archer, Aviation. So far, just hanging, unable to break out. Did retrace the whole box. If it can get above this high right there, this orange box, we could do something different. It'll probably break out, retest it again from the outside before it goes higher. That was like the SPAC price looks like. This was a SPAC situation. That's what that looks like to me. Probably gonna be some resistance getting above that. That's like classic SPAC retrace. That's another one of those bubbles right there. Look at that. That one did it right there. Went crazy. Came right back down. Sat at the SPAC price. Closed the deal. Dropped the crap out. IPOs are not... 95% of IPOs are bearish, and we go down from the IPO, even if we do a SPAC. Now, we can potentially rally up here, break on out, do a retrace back to the box. Potential. This is looking a little cooked, though, on this move. Yeah, getting a little overplayed on this current move. Be careful. We're due for a deeper retrace at some point here. Yeah. All right. My NTC is potentially working on breaking up higher. Just did the earnings. Beat on the top, beat on the bottom. Just keeps grinding. It's been kind of volatilely grinding higher, but it's kind of on this pathway, projecting out that way. We'll probably meet up with 40 resistance at some point down the line. Go retest that high, that gap down right there. All right. Skipped around, hit NVIDIA, hit Airbnb, hit ACHR, and Euro, please, as in Euro USD. Is that what you want? Rick, if you want something else, you have to ask me. Forex, that's right back to the roadmap line. Maybe a little deeper, down to $1.08. Then possibly an extension out to $1.13, $1.14. Right up there. If we get below that, we can go a little deeper. It's gotten a little volatile here. That looks like 4, and I don't really see the 1, 2 very clearly. And it's starting to be kind of, that looks more like an A, and this is a sloppy diagonal B, and then we could see a C down, or C down, C up. That's hard to, I don't know. Let's go with the roadmap pattern right now, because figuring out the rest of that's beyond the scope of what I want to do right now. All right. MCD, McDonald's, likely to push it on down to the roadmap line. Missed down here, came up, found resistance, and I don't know what that was. Support right there. All right. XE. Same pattern, sloppier. Same pattern, but sloppier. Probably get a little deeper retrace down to 100 and then bounce and possibly 104. TDW is just kind of chopping higher. It's right at the, just past the 618. 70, possibly 75 on the next push up if it can get more energy right up in that zone. If it starts breaking down, back to the roadmap line. Arrow. Go, arrow, go. Right back there. All right. That was TDW ZN. 10-year note. Probably going lower. That's the roadmap pattern upside down. Extension down to 106. 295. FCX. No, FCX doesn't have to follow copper at all. Although, I mean, if we compare the two, FCX, HG1. Oh, I need to not just switch the chart. I need to hit the compare button. HG1, X1. Let's compare this really quickly. Talk about it. Where do you line it up? Line up on the bottom here. FCX has been outperforming. We line it up here. FCX has still been outperforming. We line it up here. FCX tends to outperform, but depends on what you want, where you want to line these up. And line it up on, I could say the COVID low. FCX way outperforming copper. So does it have to do the same thing? No, it kind of follows the pattern, but it's like leveraged in the way it follows the pattern. So it's only loosely correlated. It really depends on where you want to line them up. They kind of do the same thing, but not exactly. So if copper is going to drop down and make a lower low, FCX may drop back down to this area where it bottomed. All right. Google. We'll have to turn off copper. Google and copper do not follow the same pattern at all. And we are sitting, look at that, right out the 1272, back to the 100. The next potential, if we break back above 133, probably going out to 137. If we get below, this is holding up really well. That might be what it's doing. If the market turns bullish at all, this thing may pop up here, and then we get a bigger retrace. That's held up really well. Really, really well. Yeah, look. Back to the lows. Right there. Yeah. Google holding up really well, and it actually popped early. While QQQ made its high back here in July, Google had made a high back here, kind of was consolidating. So Google's kind of leading the market a little bit. And There you go. Indicative that maybe with a pullback we see in QQQ, which we're almost time-wise to the end of that. And then we can see a rally. Pretty strongly. Interesting, interesting. All right, BX. Blackstone. Probably come back to the roadmap line. If it can get to there, turn up, break through that high right there at 104, probably going to 113, maybe 118. That'd be a pretty good pattern. Turn down right at those prior highs. That's why prior highs are important. We tend to turn down and retrace. All right. Didn't pull back to the roadmap line. What didn't? What? Sorry, Steven. I don't know which. What didn't? You'll have to Google. Is that the one you're talking about? Mora right there. This could be a Google pull back to the prior high. Mora has support down to 13. Get below 13, probably go into the roadmap line. And Google, yeah, Google did the retrace. Yeah, it didn't retrace the roadmap line there, but it did. It has a different proportion. There's other patterns here at work, and it retraced the 50 and then took off, which is a measured bounce type setup. They don't always make the roadmap line. There's other patterns that play out too. Roadmap line is a high probability pattern, but it's not the only pattern. All right. Cost is continuing to be more bullish. That's beautiful. If we can continue to break in highs, we get above this high finally over here. This looked pretty bearish for a while, but this is starting to look more bullish, and the target is up here. Ultimately, it's kind of thinking we might get a drop, but at this point, didn't play out. Trying to get in the pop. So this may take a little while. Could take like into late 2024. We've got resistance levels here, right where we are, here at the prior high, and then the target. That's is it high probability? Maybe. Can it go lower? Yeah, it can fail anywhere below the breakout price here and go down and get this target down here instead of that target up there. So this one's the range is very wide. Let's put it that way. Talking 320 to 740. And it's because of that move right there. That crazy thing it did. That set the range right there. That sets the range for the downside and the upside, and it actually looks better when we put it in log mode. Then everything's balanced. Right there, and right there. All right. I use log mode on things that move more than $50 because then it balances the scale. Alrighty. There you go. That's the list for today. I've been going for about an hour, so direction the rest of the week. Go rewind the video. That's the first thing I started out with. I mean, there's the pattern right there. So that's it. All you have to do is pull the slider back to the beginning and watch it again. So otherwise, thanks for coming. I'll be live tomorrow morning. Make sure you subscribe. You know, hit the button right over here. Dumpster fire. Awesome. Let's try that one more time. And right down here, hit the button. Hit the subscribe. Hit the alert with the notifications. I'll be live first thing in the morning at about 9:15. And before the market opens, going through what the bias for the day is. So yeah, smash the thumbs up if you liked anything I said here today. Real YouTuber thing to say, right? Actually, share it with a friend if you think this could help anybody. Share it with a friend, or just tell them, share the link to the channel. That'd be awesome. Helps me grow. Helps me help more people, because I'm in this just to help people. Scout's honor. And I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for coming, everybody. Bye.